Hi, my name is Katarina Sullivan and I would like to welcome you to my YouTube channel. Welcome to our last video of 2018. Before we get into the exciting political talk, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of my viewers who have supported me over the last 6 months of me launching this YouTube channel, which was just a crazy impulse decision. And to everyone that supported the political videos especially, because you know that that's what I'm so passionate about. Thank you so much. Thank you for your feedback and your comments. I'm always trying to improve based on your feedback, but please feel free to keep sending it through, because the more I learn about how I can improve for you guys, the more I can improve the videos themselves. So in this last video of the year, we're going to be talking about political parties, more specifically in terms of the federal legislature branch of Australian government. So last video, we spoke about the federal legislature branch, we spoke about the House of Representatives and the Senate. Head back to the video if you've forgotten and you need to refresh your memory. Otherwise, we're gonna jump right in. So an overwhelming majority of politicians belong to a political party. A political party is a group of people who share the same ideals and values when it comes to politics. Political parties assist politicians in their campaigning and in their leadership because the parties provide a platform for these politicians. Political parties also assist the voters because chances are if you vote for a certain politician from a political party, chances are you're voting for the ideals of that political party when it comes to Australia's economy, society, and environment. Currently in Australia, there are two major political parties. There is the Liberal Party of Australia and the Australian Labor Party. And just a bit of side trivia is I'm actually recording this video on December 20th, which is Sir Robert Menzies' birthday, and Sir Robert Menzies was a Prime Minister of Australia who actually founded the Liberal Party of Australia. Just some random trivia thrown in there for you. Now, in Australia, we like to confuse our voters. So the Liberal Party is actually the right-wing party. And the Labor Party is actually the left-wing party, which when you speak to people from other countries, this makes no sense because liberalism is usually partnered with views of the left wing. At a federal level, the Liberal Party has actually joined forces with the National Party to create the Liberal National Coalition. So when you hear people on TV talk about the coalition government, they're actually talking about these two parties that join together and work as one. So when it comes to the election, how does one party form government? Well, when the election happens, the major party with the most number of members elected to the House of Representatives is invited by the Governor General to form government. The leader of this party will then become the Prime Minister. So I've told you about the two major parties. It's important to note that there are actually some minor parties as well. These include, at the moment, Family First, Nick Xenophon Team, One Nation, the Liberal Democrats. There's a whole range of minor parties and they differ from state to state. There are also a few politicians that choose not to join a political party at all, neither major nor minor political party, and they run as independent candidates. And we actually have a few independent candidates in Parliament House at the moment. Now, politicians who are elected to represent either a minor party or are elected as independent candidates are also known as crossbenchers. Now, the reason they're called crossbenchers is because the chambers are actually set up in a U shape. And at the top of this kind of U shape is where what they call the crossbenchers sit. And they can either go towards Labor or towards the Liberal National Coalition when it comes to voting on legislation. So they sort of cross in between. If there are a few members who represent minor parties and are independent representatives that are elected to the lower house or the House of Representatives, and it means that the major party, which has the most votes, doesn't actually have a majority of the power in the lower house. This is what we call the formation of a minority government. So currently we have 150 seats in the House of Representatives. Next year, as you'll remember from last video, we will have 151 seats. So in order for the party which forms government to win a majority, they will need 76 seats to be won. Now, if there's less than this, that's when they form what's called a minority government. And minority governments are somewhat unstable because the major party cannot guarantee legislation will be passed through the House of Representatives because they need the crossbenchers on board. So talking about legislation, for legislation to be passed, you need 50% of support from the House of Representatives, or the lower house, and the Senate, or the upper house. And we're going to go into more detail about passing legislation later, but that's just a very basic overview of how legislation needs to be passed. So once the Prime Minister has been invited to form government by the Governor General, due to the fact that their party has won the majority of seats in Parliament House out of the two major parties, the Prime Minister then has to choose a Deputy Prime Minister and a Cabinet to support him. Now, when I say a Cabinet, I'm not talking about a place where you're going to put all your files. I'm talking about a Cabinet of Ministers. And these are people from his party or her party that the Prime Minister believes will be able to support them on certain issues, which we call portfolios. So you might have heard things like we have a Minister for Health, a Minister for Sport, a Minister for Foreign Affairs. There's a whole list of different ministries which can be found on the Australian Parliament House website. Now, if the coalition is holding the power in the federal legislative branch of government, the Deputy Prime Minister is normally the leader of the National Party. So the Prime Minister will be the leader of the Liberal Party, and the Deputy Prime Minister is usually the leader of the National Party. In the Senate, each party elects a leader. For the party who has been invited to form government, this is known as the leader of the government in the Senate. For the party who hasn't formed government, the major party who hasn't formed government, also known as the opposition, the person who leads their party in the Senate is known as the leader of the opposition in the Senate. Super creative names, I know. At the beginning of each new term, the Senate elects a president and a deputy president. Now, the president of the Senate's job is to run the daily program, manage business, ensure there's order in the Senate, and the deputy supports this person in that role. The president and the deputy president do not necessarily need to be members of the party which has formed government at the time. They can be, but it's not a requirement. Each of the major parties appoint a manager of government business or a manager of opposition business. These two senators must work together to negotiate the daily proceedings in the Senate. Now, the lower house is presided over by a speaker. The Speaker and the Deputy Speaker run business in the lower house, and they are elected by a secret ballot. In the same way the President of the Senate governs the upper house, the Speaker of the House of Representatives governs the lower house. As in the Senate, the two major parties elect two separate people to manage business in the lower house. This person is called the leader of the lower house for the party which has formed government, and for the opposition, it is called the manager of opposition business. So the major parties and some of the minor parties elect representatives known as whips. And if you think of it literally like someone who has a whip that's whipping people into shape, that's what the whips do in both the lower and upper house. So they ensure that there is party discipline in the respective chambers. They help run the daily programs, and when it comes time to vote, they ensure that there is enough people from their party in the chamber to actually make sure that their vote is counted. So the end of another video with so much information in there. Again, this is my last video for 2018. I can't wait to come back next year, and in the next video at the beginning of 2019 we'll be talking about the Prime Minister in a little bit more depth and his or her responsibilities. A last little message from me, which is some of the feedback I've got, is actually if you've gone back through my videos, you'll notice that in quite a few of them, in fact a majority, I'm actually wearing pieces and designs that I have created. So I do run a design business on the side of my sustainability work, my leadership and mentoring, and my political stuff that I'm involved with. And I do wear them in my videos because I love being able to share my designs with you all. And someone actually commented and said, you know what, you should be talking about your designs because it's an inspiring thing to have a side hustle on top of a side hustle on top of a side hustle. So I did want to talk a little bit about my designs. So I'm wearing a dress today, which is very festive for the summer season with beautiful cherries because it's one of my favorite fruits at this time of year. And also because Christmas is just around the corner, I'm wearing my Christmas earrings, which are crystal in netted casings, I guess you'd say. So very festive today. Have a very safe and Merry Christmas. Fantastic holiday season, and all the best for the new year. Again, thank you all for your support over the past 6 months with my YouTube videos, and for those of you who have been supporting me. I have people that follow me that have supported me since I was born, let alone since primary school. I have some of my pre-primary teachers that are following me. It's just amazing how many people are behind what I do, and I just wanted to say a big thank you to everyone because I can't do this without support. I can't get up in the morning and feel motivated to run a blog, run a YouTube channel, run all my social media, my businesses, my podcast, my everything that I'm doing. So thank you from the very, very bottom of my heart. And enjoy the holiday season because you all deserve it so much, and I will see you next year. Bye.